Hello, in this video we're going to be talking about diffusion. Let's not waste any of your time. Let's get right to it. Now when it comes to diffusion, we want to emphasize those passive transport principles. No energy is required. It happens with the concentration gradient. In other words, as we'll see in our first example here, with passive transport and diffusion, it tries to balance out the amount. You can see the picture beside me here. This is a kind of 1, 2, 3 parts. In the first section on the far left, all the material is on the outside of the cell and none on the inside. The middle picture, you can see that material starts to move through, and in the third picture, the far right, you can see that it has balanced out. And it's a constant give and take, because one of the things you got to think about is one of the molecules or elements on the inside of the cell, maybe it wears out, maybe it's no longer good and a lysosome takes it out. Then you got to have more exchange, or maybe a new shipment arrives in the bloodstream on the outside, and then more move inside. Maybe some has to move outside, and so it's a constant stream. But it does move through the membrane, and it moves through it without any energy, without any help. It's the idea about the concentration amounts, how much is on the outside, how much is on the inside, and it's going to move to balance out. Again, we said think lemonade or tea, mixing those grounds, and a tie-dye t-shirt works the same way. If you've ever made one of those, you take a t-shirt and grip a part of it and put a rubber band around it. That's the way we've done it. And then you spray the ink on there and it spreads out. It spreads out. You can do multiple layers to get those multiple circles going on, but it's all about the concentration amounts. When I make that t-shirt and I put a bunch of ink in one spot, it doesn't stay there. It spreads out. And of course, equilibrium. This will continue to happen until things balance out. Now, as we mentioned in the last video, they have to be small, super small. And here's some examples of things that use diffusion to move. Oxygen would be one. Carbon dioxide, of course, is trying to get out. And of course, if you're not familiar with how we get carbon dioxide in our cells, it's a byproduct of cellular respiration. So we just simply have to get rid of that. And of course, water can as well. But things that use diffusion have to be small, super small, to squeeze through the tails. Now, another aspect that we've got to think about with diffusion is that there are variables that affect the diffusion rate. And I've got here listed, as you're writing down, the main idea, but the opposite is also true. You want to keep that in mind as well. The opposite is true. So, for example, concentration amounts. If there's a bunch on one side, and not much on the other, then that's going to speed up diffusion. But if the numbers are more similar, then it will slow down diffusion. If there's 15 of something on the outside and 2 on the inside, diffusion is going to happen pretty rapidly. You may have 8 or so move across at one time to balance that out. But if there are 15 on the outside and 10 on the inside, then it'll happen a little bit slower. Things that reference the weight or the size or the density or the mass of an object. Okay, the heavier or bigger that something is, okay, diffusion will happen slower. Okay, but the opposite is also true. If it's smaller, then it will happen faster, less dense, lower mass, smaller size. It happens quicker. If it's bigger, heavier, it happens slower. Temperature. Okay, the warmer it is, the faster the diffusion will occur, and so the opposite is also true. The colder it is, the slower the rate of diffusion will occur. Distance, the same way. The greater the distance, the slower diffusion. Reduce the distance, and diffusion will happen faster. Well, that's our video over diffusion. The next time we get together, we'll be talking about facilitated diffusion. So we'll see you then.